Hello boys and girls, welcome to a stream of Star Citizen. Thanks to you guys, in yesterday's stream I have found out how to disable unwanted features of the Chromatic engine in Star Citizen. With unwanted features I mean some graphic effects like motion blur, chromatic aberration, Hdr Bloom and extra sharpening. So there are standard commands every game in the Chromatic engine uses, which you can use to modify the rendering algorithms here. So first off, I want to disable chromatic aberration. I always try to see it here because it can be well observed on well, I can't point to it with the mouse. Actually, wait, I could. It is observed here on this girder, where you see some on this edge some red color, and on the other edge, on the opposite edge, blue color. So you can disable it if you type in these commands like r chromatic aberration is 0. Then it instantly changed, and let's see it again. If I enable the default value is 1.5, you can see how it got how red color component and blue color component got displaced a bit, creating this color aberration effect. I'm not fond of it, so I like it to be disabled. I can change the value even more to make it even more apparent what happens here. Now I think it should be apparent. You can change it. You can of course change it to some extreme values, but I think that photographers which are trained to see the errors of lenses are very sensitive to chromatic aberration. I can't really, it's itching in my eyes if I see something like this, so I really need to switch it off. Next thing I wanted to switch off was the motion blur. There is a command to switch off motion blur. Just say motion blur 0, and now if you turn around, you don't have this motion blur anymore. You can enable it back, of course, with motion blur 1. Then you have this motion blur command. I have seen it in the discount hanger motion blur command. If you disable it, you get very weird light bugs, so there it is better to have it enabled. But here I don't really like it too much, motion blur. It's not so bad, but I'm just not used to it. Next thing is I want to disable is the Hdr Bloom Ratio. So I don't know what's the default value, but you see that the borders of these lights are rendered differently. If I enable it again, ratio of, I don't know, 0.5, it's maybe too much. The default value may be somewhere around 0.2. Now 0, you can modify it like that to whatever value you like. I think the default was 0.2. It's not so bad, but again, I don't know whether I like it or not. What happens if I say 1? Okay. Yeah. 0.4, 0. Oh, actually 0.4 makes this light. This is very yellow. 0.5. This is bluish. You can indirectly tone the color of your deluxe hanger here with it. The next thing I was switching off was sharpening, although I'm not quite sure whether sharpening is enabled at all. There is an option R sharpening. I said it's 0. Probably the default value is 0 here because I don't see any apparent change, but you can define how many pixels sharpening shall be applied. If we say 1 pixel, we see sharpening over 1 pixel. If I say 5 pixels, we'll see sharpening 6, or let me say 15. Yeah, we see this sharpening effect. So if I set it to 0, it looks like this. If I set it to 0.3 or 0.7, still okay. 1 pixel looks not okay to me because I see the sharpening artifacts there. So 0, let it unsharpened. Yeah, so these are the commands which you can use: sharpening, bloom ratio, chromatic aberration, and motion blur. If you don't like these, switch some of them off, switch them all off, or adjust them to values you like. If you are going to do this, so you would normally have to do it every time you start the game, and that's no fun. So there is a file in your Star Citizen directory, Star Citizen Engine Engine.pak, I believe it is. You can extract it, or just if you're using Total Commander or any file managers, you can go right inside it. There you see in config autoexec.cfg. This file you can view. By default it only contains the first line, map hanger app. That means that the map of the hanger app gets loaded, but you can additionally write these commands into the autoexec config, save it in this package. So like if you want to edit it, like this is the default value, I save it. It says it has changed. Do you want to repack it into this engine.pak? Yes. Oh, okay, remove the write protection because the game is running. I can't actually do it, but normally Total Commander would do it. And if you want to have it there, you just write the commands there. What still happens is that everything is returned to default if you change your graphic settings. So maybe the autoexec is not the best location to type these commands in, because I changed my graphic settings from full screen to windowed mode, and I saw all the motion blur and chromatic aberration effects back in action. So there might be a slightly better location, like very high spec, maybe very high spec config. If I write them there every time I select very high spec, or maybe there is something like config CFG, which is, or system CFG, but I have tried to print the value in this file and it didn't work. So I am using the data directory and using my what was it? No, not data. Engine.pak Config and this autoexec config here. As long as I don't change the graphic settings, the game starts with my adjusted settings, and it will use them as long as I don't change the graphic settings. So this is a way how you can get rid of chromatic aberration or any other rendering settings which you dislike. Thanks for watching.